Hey guys, we're back with another video and we're going to go a little bit more in depth on this one. This is of Tex and I'm going to go over the entire best of 3. He's a 21-year-old playing on NRG in Valorant now, and they just recently signed him not too long ago. And I wanted to go more in depth with this because I watched his teammate actually streamed like a significant portion of this demo, his teammate Swisher. And I watched the stream and it kind of showed me how match fixing really affects your teammates. My takeaway from the stream was that it kind of looked that Tex was the only one not really trying in the game, and this was a DreamHack qualifier game. It was also at the tail end of his CS career, which I think just makes it more likely that he would throw. This next round coming up here, I'm gonna let his teammate Swisher kind of go over it on stream. Here, check this out.
After this round, in TeamSpeak, because you can hear me say, what is Ian doing? What the fuck is Ian doing? In TeamSpeak, right as soon as that round ended, I asked Ian, what the fuck are you doing? Do you have a bet placed? I remember it. You have a fucking bet placed on this match.
So let's check out what happened in that round. And yeah, this is honestly pretty tough. It really shows that some of these guys were impacting, yes, obviously they're impacting the bettors and people placing bets and stuff like that, but these are guys that grinded together, they scrimmed together, they knew each other well. And for your teammate to not, they're all trying to kind of live the dream, right? To become pro in CSGO. And then when you have teammates doing stuff like this, it's a fucking joke. And honestly, forget all the people that place bets. Who gives a shit about them? But you're fucking around with your teammates that are trying to get to the next level in CS. They recruited you, or they've joined up with you to play CS with you because of your skill. And now this is the shit show that you bring into the game. It's honestly disgusting and a total betrayal of his teammates, in my opinion. Actually, after this gunfight, you can hear Swisher call him out in game. Here, listen to this.
What is Ian doing?
I thought with the other demos, I'm like, oh, like the whole teams are in on it and shit like that. I really don't believe that's the case here. You also have him doing shit like this, where he just lags out randomly. He's saying his internet's bad, etc. He's got the bomb, of course. Oh, and he's back. Okay. So are you lagged out? Or are you not? Or what's going on, right? And as we go through this demo, you're going to see some very low effort shooting. And he's really, he's like trying to tap everyone. It's like, okay, at that range, maybe it makes sense to tap, but they're really weak attempts at those gunfights, in my opinion. And then after lagging out for a couple rounds or having challenges, you could see his power goes out right here. Apparently his power goes out. And the problem is, in Counter-Strike, if you're betting on your own game and you're a heavy favorite to win that game, it might be difficult to lose that game if your teammates are not in on the throw. And that's what it looked like in this game. It looked like Tex was the only one trying to lose. I think the timing made a lot of sense as well. This was right around the release of Valorant. Valorant came out in April 2020 as well, and this game was played in April 2020. But I'll go back to Swisher's stream and kind of let him explain the situation a little bit further.
They were going to forfeit us because we couldn't start 4v5. His power goes out, and then we were going to get forfeited. It came back on, and his power instantly goes out as soon as we're ready. He doesn't even play the pistol round because his power's out again. And then we have to play the entire half 4v5.
So the problem is, he's bet on a team that is quite a bit worse than his team. His team was a Mountain Dew League team. They're playing against an ESEA advanced team, so they're literally not even in the same league as each other. Also, in this game, it looks like he might be the only one not putting full effort forth, right? So if his teammates are running around just smoking the shit out of these guys, there's not a lot he could do to try and lose that game other than disconnect. But disconnecting brings on another problem. Once they change sides, the rules were that you cannot continue, and it would be a forfeit loss if it was not 5 versus 5. And some betting websites, if it's a forfeit loss, they'll null all the bets. So none of the bets would go to anybody, right? Everybody would just kind of get their money back. You could see the problem that this would create if you were trying to throw a match, right? So that's why, in my opinion, that, you know, he came back on CT side, readied up, got the game started, then instantly left because he needs his team to lose, right? So his team actually managed to get it to overtime despite playing the entire half 4 versus 5. And they run into the same issue. They can't ready up, or they can't start overtime until it's 5 versus 5. So Tex, miraculously, his power comes back on and he's able to play in overtime. And he kind of has an interesting round here. I'm going to go back to Swisher's stream and just let him explain it a little bit. Here, check this out.
Look it, man. This round, I asked him what he was doing again. Just look. They're mini splitting. Watch. Watch this, man. Watch this, man. He's literally going for one taps. He's literally going for one taps, man.
I think it's easy to say, well, he got the kills, right? But instantly a red flag. Anybody tapping at that range with an M4 is not playing right, especially almost a professional level player. I actually reached out to Swisher for comment on this whole situation, and he said, at the end of the day, I love him and I hope it's not true. And it kind of reminds me of the story when I was young. I actually played, you know, I played thousands of hours with the same team in 1.6, and we were just kind of on the precipice of getting into Invite and really starting to play against some high-level competition, and then one of my teammates got banned, and I had no idea. And even though it was a complete betrayal of our team, he was still a really good friend of mine, and I didn't hate the guy for doing it. I couldn't. You know, he had land at my house, he had spent time at my house, and he was a great guy. It's just, you know, he made the wrong choice, and I still considered him a friend, even though he completely derailed thousands of hours that we put into Counter-Strike.
What the fuck was that?
Fuck? Swing, Ian, swing so wide, buddy.
And that'll do it for map 1. Let's move on to map 2. And you can kind of theory craft how the betting would take place for this. You know, I think, you know, if I was a match fixer and I was kind of putting myself in these shoes, I would probably bet to lose the first game, and then maybe it didn't go the way I want because they won the first map, right? So maybe you would double down and try and bet to lose the second game, is kind of my train of thought going into this. And we'll go through the game from Tex's point of view and kind of see. There's a few moments in this map where it looks like he's not really putting in the full effort, and there's a couple more weird lag out rounds. He lags out for about 5 seconds on this map, and then it's during a very important gunfight, and then the rest of the game he's fine. So it's just strange. I thought this gunfight was really weird too. He's just tapping with the M4. It makes no sense, in my opinion, not to spray that guy down. And in my opinion, he just didn't fully commit to try and get this kill. He could have easily sprayed that instead of trying to tap that CT's head, right? Yeah, anyways, I don't think that's right.
Wait, I didn't hit him?
Honestly, nothing beats in-game comms for these demos. Alright, on to the next moment here. I feel like since he was full blind, it would have made the most sense for him to go behind the wall, but he chose to stay exposed and then just try and spray down. I didn't think that made a lot of sense. And then here again, he's just like tapping. This is not a far range shot to the guy under the balcony there. And that, to me, that should be a full spray down. That is not a distance that you tap at all.
I'm fucking hungry as fuck. That last map literally felt like it took 5 hours.
No, the kind of thing I felt, dude. I'm sitting here, helpless.
I'm playing upper on nuke, helpless.
Yeah, welcome to my life. On every map, it feels like.
Okay, dude, really.
And this round here is probably the worst in the demo. It might even be as bad as the nuke one. Like, it's He's gonna peek out here, get the one tap on that guy, and then now he's lagged out, right? Apparently.
There's no way.
But when the round restarts, I'll just fast forward through this, or I'll replay it and then I'll fast forward through it. But when the round starts over, he's not lagged out anymore. So you just lagged out on a super important gun round for about 5 seconds, and then you were fine after that. I don't know. You decide if you're buying into that, right? I don't. Judging by what we've seen in the other demos and kind of what we've seen throughout this best of 3, I don't buy into that personally. Another spot where he's just tapping, like,
Dude, I'm so bad.
it's very weird, and again, not a super long distance fight, and generally you're gonna see people spray that down, right? He typically sprays down. Yeah, this is a questionable decision too. He was actually throwing that nade set, like in the first half he threw that. He threw the molly and then the nade right after. So it's kind of weird for him to get caught off guard by that. Like, it's a pretty common way to nade that. Anyways, shit happens, I guess, right? As we go through the game, you can see that Monstars are comfortably losing at this point. So if you were a match fixer, you wouldn't have to be trying as hard, right?
Never mind, that gun's fucking horrible.
That's his positioning.
Yeah,
Is to
they're just dog shit.
Oh man, I don't know. This is so tilting, honestly. Yeah.
I feel like these comms really add a lot to the demo, and you know, they're chit chatting back and forth the whole game, right? Like when you speak in game, the people that are dead can't hear you, or the people that are alive can't hear you talk. That's why you see them use in game so much. And he gets wide swung here and just instantly dinked. Really, there's not much he could have done about that.
Oh!
And then they go on to lose the map. So let's move on to map 3. And on to map 3. And everything that I've brought up over the last 2 demos are really kind of the definition of circumstantial evidence. They don't directly prove that there was any match fixing going on. All it can do is kind of raise suspicions a little bit. And me personally, as a player, it's the type of thing I wanted to see. I really did not put a lot of thought behind all this news from the MDL League that players were match fixing or anything. I didn't really think about it that much until I saw the game footage. And now that I see the game footage, it's concerning. Like how many people this is going to impact. And I've said before, you can't throw a stone in professional Valorant without hitting a former MDL player. Like, they literally are on every team. So I'm curious to see how this ESIC investigation goes, and I'm curious to see what the FBI has to say. I know a lot of people have been saying, you know, these guys should have known because of what happened to iPower. They should have known, you know, Effie's was banned for match fixing a few years ago as well. Guys are saying, oh, they should have never done this because of the punishments that were handed out for that. But I mean, in their defense, you know, in these guys' defense, the ones that were match fixing, there was never any FBI investigations going on. That's for sure. You know, the iPower police never got involved, and it was, you know, they got banned from the game, and that was it. I'm not saying that to defend these guys. I'm just saying, like, when they were looking at the risk reward chart for this, an FBI investigation was certainly not one of the risks that they considered. I guarantee you that. That doesn't mean that they shouldn't have known better. You know, it's still against the law, obviously, to throw games and defraud people out of money. And yes, they should have known that it could have, you know, depending on how severe you're going to make this, it can very easily escalate into a situation where law enforcement gets brought into it, right? So in this third map, it looks totally normal to me. There's no more weird tapping going on. He's spraying everyone normally, taking normal gunfights. I know tapping is sometimes pretty common from players, you know, but typically, you know, 95% of players, or even higher than that, are going to be spraying. There's really only a couple guys that tap constantly. And this game, it all looked normal. You know, it's like he wanted to win the series to move on in this DreamHack qualifier, which makes absolute sense, right? He may even have thought that losing one game in this series would be victimless because his team would go on to win the next 2 anyways, and that is kind of what happened. But I certainly don't consider it a victimless crime type of thing. It's still a massive betrayal to his teammates who, like I said earlier, are just grinding and trying to go pro.
So black.
I don't know what's going on with the voice chat, but it was interesting to say the least. So second half here, Monstars and Tex are going to take it home to win this bo3 and then move on in the DreamHack qualifier. Then after this game, they kind of ran into some tougher teams that put their run to an end.
Why did he fucking go palace? It's so much slower. Go ramp, go ramp. It was so much slower.
People might wonder why it's not a concern match fixing at the tier 1 level, and that really comes down to just salaries. You know, if a tier 1 player is making 100,000 or 200,000 or maybe even more per year, they're not going to risk throwing games even if they were offered like $250,000. It's just not a good, it just doesn't make any sense, right? You can make that after playing for a couple years, or you know, it's really the and it's like this in professional sports as well. The real problem is the guys that aren't making any money, right? So even in MDL, actually, the top level teams, they're not going to be motivated to throw games at the top level because those guys have aspirations to move on into the pro level and stuff like that. I have an upcoming video actually going through the demos for Grim and Asuna, since they were playing on the same team in MDL League. And I haven't watched the demo yet, but I fully expect it to be absolutely normal because both of those guys were considered prospects, right? They were on a good team, they were making progress, they were still young and hungry, and I fully expect that to be a clean demo, but stay tuned and we'll go through it together once the video's out. So what do we think here about Tex, guys? Did he throw this match? Did he bet on his own game and then intentionally lose or intentionally have lag out issues? Let me know in the comments what you think. I actually want to know.
Fuck!
I know he wasn't really a guy on the radar or on the list of match fixers. It was more Poise, Shanks, Calypso. But after watching him in that Dust 2 demo,
Damn, homie, sprinting.
He's sweating.
Sprinting the entire way? I don't know about that.
yeah, after I saw him in the Dust 2 demo, I thought there's no way he's not involved, right? It looked really bad, in my opinion. And actually, this play was really nice. Check out the smoke, and then he hops up on the wall so you can perfectly see over the smoke, and he catches that T at a little off angle. That was a really nice play. I liked it. So we're coming to the end of the last demo, and like I said earlier, this third map looked entirely normal to me. No weird tapping, especially with the M4. Like, who taps with the M4? And the playstyle and everything. It fit basically the profile of an MDL player, I thought. People really think... I got some comments on my other videos about people really think that the MDL level players are down in the basement skill level wise, but honestly, their aim is not what separates them from the tier 1 scene, really. Like, these guys all have awesome aim. It's more the gameplay coordination and the teamwork that really separates them from tier 1. Like, yeah, obviously their aim isn't quite as good. Like, we're not watching Elige play here, but the big separator and the big difference between Mountain Dew League teams and the pro scene is definitely teamwork and coordination. And I thought that was displayed well here on Mirage. So that'll do it. This bo3 was a bit of work to put together to go through the 3 games, but I kind of condensed it down into a bit of a bite-sized format. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, leave a thumbs up. If you didn't, leave a thumbs down. If you want to help out the channel a little bit more, check out my Patreon. And I'll catch you guys next time. All right. Peace.